Well, I hope that we are live. It's been a couple of months, folks. So what's happening is we all, every once in a while, we have these little computer glitches. I have a new computer. Things get a little crazy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Good evening, dear friends. Oh my goodness, so good to be with you again. My name is Nicholas Vaselli. I am the artistic director of Theater Breaking Through Barriers. And yes, indeed, I am certainly coming to you. Couldn't be anything but live from right here in the heart of the Thunderdome, right in takes a licking and keeps on ticking, beautiful Midtown Manhattan in New York City. And on behalf of all of our artists, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to Theater Breaking Through Barriers' 6th Virtual Playmakers Intensive, or VPI 6 Star Changers. When we last convened on this virtual stage about 9 months ago, it appeared that we were approaching the end of our 2-year entanglement with COVID-19. Spring had sprung, masks were being stripped away, and we once again started having live gatherings. It was a really exciting time. Well, 9 months and 2 COVID variants later, with a third one on the way, folks. So don't get rid of your masks that quickly. It's clear that what we once thought would be a return to normal remains to be seen. Oh, and there's a war in Europe now, started, of course, by one of the most cliched of bad guys, someone who has no problem destroying innocent lives while holding a finger on the button of the nuclear smart bomb and threatening all who dare to try to intervene that he has no problem pressing it. For us, it's the stereotypical nightmare of the madman bent on destroying the world. Yeah, our society still remains divided as ever. And our ability to appeal to each other with logic and reason, it's just not happening. What are we going to do? Strangely, in spite of all of this divisiveness, which has truly been the plague of our times, it appears that one glimmer to come out of the carnage that's currently happening in the Ukraine is that Ukrainian people are demonstrating to all of us that freedom is fragile and sacred and worth fighting and even dying for. And they have all band together and united to prove that. Perhaps the atrocities we're currently witnessing in the Ukraine, like Pearl Harbor, like 9/11 here in the US, might inspire us to unite once again and cast off our polarized silliness and finally come together to heal what's been ailing us. It's for this reason that TBTB wishes to dedicate this festival to the hearts and souls of the Ukrainian people. May their courage and sacrifices that they are all making be an inspiration to all of us. Slava Ukraina. Throughout this festival, we'll also be dedicating certain shows and performances to the memories of families and friends and those who have inspired us in our lives, the true star changers. I'm going to get the ball rolling tonight by dedicating this performance and the performance we did earlier this evening to Joel Tabnick, the father of tonight's playwright, Jeff Tabnick. Mr. Tabnick left us 2 months ago yesterday, but he built a tremendous legacy, including an outstanding family, one of whom you'll meet tonight. So where do we go from here, folks? That's the question that we posed to our artists for VPI 6. If we've lost our ability to communicate with our fellow man through reason and logic, is there another way to reach each other? What can we as artists do, not only to entertain, but to appeal to our audiences by making them feel our message rather than simply hear it? What can we do to help alter our course and change our stars? In the next 15 days, we'll share our answers with you. VPI 6 Star Changers features the talents of over 60 artists. 60 artists, my friends. When we first gathered in February, none of these artists knew what was going to be performed. All of the groups were randomly paired together, and all of the works in progress that we're going to share with you were collaboratively created by each group. 3 weeks ago, none of the work that you're going to see in these next 15 days existed. Every bit of work was created online via Zoom, and each group of artists developed and rehearsed their work right here in Cyberland. It's amazing what can be accomplished when a group of people come together with a common purpose from all parts of the world. Artists, we get it done. So I hope you'll join us every evening at this time between now and April 1st to experience our work. Who knows? Perhaps we might even find our way to your mind through your heart. We like to kick off the opening of each intensive with an attention grabber. And tonight, my friends, we truly have an attention grabber. Something that'll make you laugh, something that'll make you cry, maybe even freak you out a little bit. And there is no better playwright who can accomplish all of the above than our dear friend and one of TBTV's finest, the great Jeff Tabnick. Jeff and his stellar company of artists, Fred Backus, Scott Barton, Dan Teachout, all directed and led by the mad genius himself, Richard M. Rose, have created the perfect cocktail to get this party started. Now, before we begin each play, we like to ask our artists to tell us who they are, who they're playing, and to provide a brief description of their appearance for the benefit of any audiences who can't see them. So we will also attempt to describe any essential nonverbal actions throughout each piece. So right now, I want to turn things over to the company of tonight's play. Guys, take it over.
I'm Dan Teachout. I'm playing Ted. I'm currently in my living room. I am a fit Caucasian man in his late 50s with a gray and silver goatee.
Hi, I'm Scott Barton. I'm playing Owen. I'm a Caucasian male with brown hair and brown eyes. I'm sitting in my apartment and I'm wearing a gold wristwatch.
Hi, my name is Fred Backus and I'm playing Frank. Frank is in his late 40s, wearing glasses with a dad bod and is holding a bass guitar.
This is Ted again. At the top of this show, you will only see our torsos.
Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy Jeff Tabnick's Dead Torsos Shed No Tears.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Ted Torso's Talking Torso Time, where we're all torsos talking all the time. I'm Ted Torso, the optimistic torso, and here are my best friends, Frank Torso, the musical torso.
Yeah!
And Owen Torso, the torso who loves to twerk.
Oh yeah!
Oh boy, look at that crazy torso go. Hire Ted Torso and the Torsoettes. No, they're not really called the Torsoettes. I just thought of that right now and I hate it. They're just my best torso friends. Are you asking yourself, what can the Talkin' Ted Torso Trio do for you? Well, just listen.
Are you tired of Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting?
It's because you're just looking at a bunch of heads.
Dreading those 3-hour Zoom productions of Hamlet?
Too many heads.
All those heads!
Heads, 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 heads!
Now, imagine it with torsos instead.
Faces?
Yuck! They're so...
Gooey!
Exactly!
Disgusting!
Now you're talking!
Overexposed!
Everything feels so tired. The news, movies, TV, you know why?
Too many heads!
Not enough torsos!
Now you got it! Didn't I tell you these torsos are swell? Sure, they don't share the same torso passion I do, but here they are because I'm paying them I'm paying them a lot of money. That's not sad. It's just a testament to how much I love torsos.
Actually, it's because we've been his best friends since high school.
No faces, only torsos. We're just trying to keep Zoom fresh, people. Nothing desperate about that.
All right, I think that's a wrap, Ted.
Solid torso infomercial, Ted.
I have so much more to say.
Torsos are not desperate. You nailed it.
I didn't even tell the people they can hire us for birthday parties.
I think it was implied.
Ponies? Boring. Clowns? Cliche. Talking torsos? Now you're talking.
I gotta pick up my kid from school.
I'm already late for my online bridge tournament.
Tired of solo talking torsos? Buy a pair. That's when things get interesting.
Think he'd notice if we just left?
Tummy Time Torsos, our torsorific show for tots.
We can't leave him here when he's like this.
Tipsy Talking Torsos.
I've never seen Ted this distraught.
Tired Talking Torsos.
Grief is rarely a linear process.
Toros Talking Torsos. Toros, es español for boil.
We need to get in there.
It just needs to start with a T, people.
Hey, Ted?
Tickled torsos, tutoring torsos, Titanic toad the torsos, torso borealis.
Ted!
What? Can't you see I'm in the middle of something?
Look, we love torsos as much as the next guy, but
Maybe it's getting old.
so we were thinking it's time to shake things up
That's right.
and try my idea for a change.
Wait, what? No, Frank, that's not what we were thinking.
You don't even know my idea.
I do know your idea.
Butts.
Maybe.
No,
No?
no. You're missing the point, Frank.
I don't know, Frank. We wouldn't be able to do the kids' birthday parties anymore. Plus the temptation to constantly devolve into scatological sphincter-based comedy.
Butts are funny.
Ted, listen to me. I'm squatting now.
Now!
I'm showing you my full face.
Are you sure he's ready for that?
Your face is awful.
Oh,
And it's
that's
weird.
nice.
And it's oddly belly buttonless.
That's true. My face doesn't have a belly button.
Don't let him make you feel bad about that.
Ted, Frank and I are your oldest friends. And we know that you've been going through a hard time.
But my torso isn't.
Oh, wait. I remember now. The problem isn't which body part we're using. The problem is that Ted is using this whole torso business to avoid grieving his recently deceased father.
That is indeed the root of the problem.
It's like I knew that and I forgot. This is serious. I'm squatting.
Nice to see your face, Frank.
I refuse to squat.
Look, Ted, the first thing I want to do is thank you.
Oh, no. Oh, I know that tone, Owen. You're breaking up Team Torso. Please, don't break up Team Torso.
It's been a rough couple of years for all of us. I've had my share of medical problems, and Frank's band broke up. And his fourth grade boy, what with all that virtual school last year, he's functionally illiterate. Don't you have to pick your son up, Frank?
It's okay. I want to see where you're going with this.
Ted, when you came up with this torso idea, the absurdity of it spoke to me. I'd already found myself laughing at inappropriate times. When family members were ill, when new variants cropped up, when wars started.
That's messed up, Owen.
Because everything seemed so absurd. Like cause and effect didn't even work anymore. As a human being, I welcome this torso ridiculousness. But as your friend, as a friend who sees that you are in pain, I think you'd do better to talk to us directly about your sadness.
Let us in, Ted. We love you. We want to cry with you, my man, but torsos can't cry.
I know that, guys. I know you love me. You all came to my dad's funeral. You were all there in person, and the text and the phone calls, and Shiva baskets. And I've been overwhelmed by everyone's support. It's been, and I mean this, all of the support has been life affirming. But really, what I really want, I just want to do this torso joke for like, I don't know, say another 5 to 6 more hours.
Why are you so much more torso focused today, Ted? Did something happen last night?
Squat with us, Ted. Squat.
Please, let us see you from the neck up.
If that's what you wanted, why the heck didn't you just ask? I'd be happy for you to see me from the neck up.
You've gone too far!
Take that picture of a torso off your head right now!
Fine. Yes, I'm worse today. I'm sadder and warmer and churnier, and my insides and my eyes are darker because I'm not sleeping. Because my nights are full of him.
Your dad?
No, Jesus Christ, our Savior.
Oh.
No, about my dad. Sorry. These visitations, these dreams aren't comforting. They're disturbing. Sometimes he's standing in the hallway and I'll be like, God, Dad, you look so much better than you did last time. The last time I saw you. Or sometimes he's standing in the aisle at a funeral, and his funeral, and a baby is whispering in his ear, and I'm sitting behind him, a row behind them, and my dad says to the baby, he says, listen, baby, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I have to go. Are either of you absorbing any of this?
Yes.
Maybe if you told us, like concretely explain to us how his illness progressed so quickly. Tell us what you saw and what it made you feel.
I mean, that's the whole point. That's the whole problem of where I am now. I'm not ready to reduce my dad's death to a series of anecdotes.
That's not what we're saying.
My man.
No, I know that's not what you're saying. I do. But the more I talk about it, about his death, the less he lives and breathes in me. Shaping it like a story is like closing the lid on a box, on another box. No, I don't. I want to keep him shifting inside of me, even if it's uncomfortable. I don't want him on paper or on screen or anywhere else. He's mine. And yet I have to do something. I have to create something. And unfortunately, I only have the one idea.
Torsos.
TORSOS.
I'm with you, Ted.
Yeah. Me too.
Frank, don't you have to pick up your kid?
I'm sure someone else got him. They all know I'm a terrible dad.
Maybe we can continue with that Hamlet.
Oh, I would like that.
From where we left off yesterday.
Shall we stand?
We shall stand.
My father. Methinks I see my father
Where, my lord?
in my mind's eye.
All right. Oh, such an amazing show. You guys, come on. Come on back here. Let's talk about this a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible company of Dead Men Shed No Tears by Jeff Tabnick. Come on back, everyone. Oh, there he is. The man himself, the great Jeff Tabnick. Oh, all right. And here we have Scott Barton. Oh, put on a shirt. Fred Backus also put on a shirt. Okay. Richard Rose, the mad genius himself. And here we have Dan Teachout. Oh my God, such great. And ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, I didn't get a chance to introduce him during the last show, but those of you who tune in and see our show, have seen our past intensives, you know the tech guru himself, the one who gets this whole thing started, the incomparable Tuckus Olivara, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. The more I see this show, the more I love it. I think I might take you up on your idea of just like, doing a command performance of this every night. Not that I want to sell the other shows short, but this will go with everything, I think. I love the play. I just love how this all came about. Do you remember, I want to start with you, Jeff. When we talked about this idea of creating the theme of this intensive as Star Changers, what was swirling through your head? I mean, we talked about in the earlier episode how you always wanted to do a torso show. Well, mission accomplished on that one. You got 3 incredible torsos for this one. But what was it when we talked about that initial prompt that grabbed you and twisted your mind into this?
Well, you sounded at the time to want to do shows that were positive, right? You sort of had at least the way I read you, was that the idea of like, how do we move forward differently? How do we come out of COVID in a different place than where we started it? Or how do we chart a course that's perhaps better than the course we were on before? And so even though I have had the torso, I wanted to do a torso play for a while. And obviously some of the things I'm dealing with here are personal. I wanted to make sure that there was an idea of how we get through things together, which is also true to my life experience as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that, because what you created and what you wrote and what you had 3 really wonderful actors that were able to create 3, like, you really liked these guys, all of them. They all were just so likable in their way, and all say so much about themselves in just, you learn so much. Fred's character is a bass player, and somebody else got him. Everyone knows I'm a lousy, like that stuff is hilarious. And of course Scott's character Owen is just like, they're so empathetic and want to help Ted, and then Ted is just this like. Can we talk a little bit to you guys about how you concocted your I know that a lot of it was written for you, but let's start. Fred, I want to start with you.
I guess I just thought of it. I mean, Richard actually talked about this earlier tonight, just as the best foil for what Scott was bringing in particular, since we're sort of the wingmen, and to be the the sounding board for what Ted has given us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Scott is the sensitive one, or at least that's what I took it, and Frank is sort of the you know, the stereotypical bass player, I guess, a little dense, but well-meaning and you know, happy to back up his friend to the end, you know, and to sort of just went with it that way, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was
just rode the
great.
writing, you know, just rode the writing.
That's it. That's, you know, it's when you got good material and you're talented, you're good actors, it all comes together.
One of my favorite lines that really, I think, spoke to the character of Frank was the line where he says, hey, Frank, don't you have to pick up your kid? And he says, no, that can wait. I want to hear where you're going with this.
Yeah. He's in the moment.
Perfect. It was wonderful. And just also not only what you, I'll just speak to you on this one, Fred, yourself, not only what you brought to the character, but your relationship to the camera. All of that was, all of you all had such a great and interesting relationship that you created, like that you were conveying through the camera, which I think is part of what we're learning in this whole Zoom thing, because it's very different from being on stage. It's kind of, we talked about this in past intensives, how it's sort of a hybrid. It's not quite film or, you know, doesn't necessarily use all of those techniques, but and it's not quite theater either. It's sort of like this weird hybrid. So, you know, your character tells a lot. You can say a lot about your character based on how close you are to the camera and the angle of your head. All those things just make a big difference. So it's just really wonderful stuff.
Yeah, it's you know, it's the equivalent of, you know, find your light and, you know, let the audience see your face. But, you know, in Zoom, it's different rules. And the more you do it, you're like, oh, what does this do? And you have this, and you have this, and it's fun to play with. You know, it's fun to find the different ways to frame yourself.
Yeah.
Early in the rehearsals, in every rehearsal that I do, very early in the rehearsals, I tell people that this is very different than cinema. Mm-hmm. And certainly stage, but cinema, you are your own camera person.
Yep.
And you have to be very aware of how you are controlling how you look in the screen. And that includes the hands. We worked on this with the hands and the torsos. I mean, in the beginnings of the rehearsals, all you saw was torsos, and once in a while a hand would pop up, and we're like, no, your hands have to be expressive because your belly button isn't. So you have to use those hands, and that's why we did that. So that was very clear, if you noticed, you know. But you have to do that because we don't have a cinematographer. Mm-hmm. You are your own cinematographer. So.
Yeah. And that's really a big job for you, Richard, as the director. You have to sort of coordinate the images that are all coming onto the screen. And
when they do the right thing, not interrupt. Because when it's nice and clean like this, we did talk about it a little bit earlier and a few times over the course of the period. Each person distinctly used the camera in a distinct way, and they just went with it. And as long as they kept going there, I don't interrupt, because they know, Fred knew immediately what his character should look like, that slightly askew and facing the camera. And same thing with Ted, very rigid. They knew, Scott. But I've worked with these guys for doing that before anyway, so they kind of already knew that about me anyway, but they went with it, and I don't get in the way.
No, but it's, again, it's great. You know, I want to just remind audiences, you know, when we do these pairings, it's all random, and there are this group was really an exception to the rules because, you know, they all know each other, and most of them have worked together, at least, you know, if they haven't all worked as this group together, they've worked together in different productions before. But there in our intensive, we have a lot of new artists this time that had never worked with us before. So they're coming into all of this green, and they're working with people who either have never worked with us or have never worked with them. So it really kind of creates a lot of really interesting dynamics here, which is, it's always fun, and it can be a little scary too, because you don't know how it's going to work out, but that's part of the fun of it as well. Scott, you've done a bunch of these now already. I have to ask you, based on, on all of your experience doing our intensives. How do you find, like, and I'm going to ask you in the presence of all of these guys, because you know them and you've worked with them before. What made this one different than the others?
Well, I'd actually never worked with Dan or Fred before, but I've collaborated with Richard and Jeff a couple of times.
Right.
So it was great knowing. I mean, I knew Fred. I didn't know Dan before, but we have stuff in common: New Jersey Shakespeare Festival, things like
Yeah.
that. But I just really love working with Jeff. I mean, I think he's so good at, he's done this a few times now, and he's so great at writing for actors. And I just think he did a brilliant job of creating a great group of friends who are willing to go the extra mile to help their friend deal with grief and loss.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think it was really, really beautiful. Dan, I'm going to have to ask you, because you, now this is what I think I don't know how many times you've worked with us on virtual stuff. Like, was it like the fourth time, fifth time? Yeah. And you've done a lot of different things before. This one, you were sort of given, I think in this one, the sort of the emotional, you were the emotional glue. Obviously you're the whole originator of the whole of the TORSOS. But tell me what it was like to play that role for it. It's a little bit.
Oh, it's a lot of fun because I mean, the words, the writing is really good, and it makes it easy. So you just say, you can actually just say the words almost, but I mean, you have to give them a little bit of something, of course. But and there were no props, no shirts. It's under 15 minutes. I'm not kidding. It's a home run almost. And,
Yeah.
For this, for this genre or whatever it is, Zoom theater, So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you can. It's almost like there's many different areas. I felt it was there. It can be super serious or not super serious, and I felt it was going that way a little too much. I think the time I just did it, but it can go many different ways, and it's almost like it's like an airplane just kind of coming into land or whatever. You just suddenly you realize you're just you're in the wrong area, so somehow you gotta shift gears to get over here. So
Well, I mean, and of course you're gauging your own performance as it goes. I'll say to you, I love what you do, and I think adding a little of that emotion it peppers this play so nicely, because there is a zaniness to it. I mean, when it starts, you don't know where it's going. I mean, it's just a wild infomercial.
but I think we also actually, as we read it, we actually forget where it's going. So because that's actually part of it, is that as we're reading it, even though we've gone through this many times, we've spent a lot of time on it. I think collectively we kind of forget where we're going. So it's kind of like recreating slightly an accident, but not, a prepared accident. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
But it's great because you're having fun with it, and yet then there is this very serious turn, which I think is great. I also love it because I try to think of it in the microcosm of where we are in our world today, and it does, as Jeff talked about before. It's like we've been going through this whole thing, and this whole period of divisiveness, this whole period of real sadness and tragedy, and the fact that that is continuing now, and the key question of this intensive is, what can we do to change that? What can we as artists do to change that? And I think this answers a lot of that in the writer's own unique way. Tucker, do you have any thoughts or questions that you'd like to ask? But you got to turn on your sound though.
So I I love what they play so much. One quick question for Dan and for Jeff. I know Jeff was a lot of parent recently, but it seemed like you had a connection to this. Did you lose a family member because you play your part so well? It felt like it was real.
Yeah, it's funny. Dan said something to me when we were talking, Tucker. He said to me, and forgive me if I'm misquoting, but Dan said, once you turn 50, it's like people just drop dead all over the place. And when he said that, I was like, I think Dan's going to understand this play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard how that happens, and without getting without going into that direction, you are absolutely right. And I've been noticing it myself, how there's we've a lot of good friends who are my age, are that are no longer with us, and it's all been happening fairly recently, and you're like, what's going on here? It's crazy. It's really, really crazy time. But I think what we do as artists, this, to be able to create work like this, that is funny and yet it has a meaning that you can take with you and maybe reflect on it. I think this can change people's perspectives. They can change people's lives if they allow it. Does anyone else have any thoughts or comment on that as artists?
I mean, I was just going to answer Tucker's question another way too, to say that it helps that I've worked with Dan before, that I kind of intuited what he would, react well to, or be able to play truthfully.
Yeah.
When we did that clown play together, he brought so much pathos to that role.
Yeah, it was amazing. For those of you watching, if you want to go to our website, tvtv.org, go into our archives, and you can actually see that play. We have all of the plays. All of these plays are works in progress, by the way. They're all new material, and you're able to see it all. Everything that we have is available for you to view it. So please feel free to do that. Does anyone else have any final thoughts or comments before we wrap this beautiful package up for the evening? And I'll go out and get a drink, at least virtually. No, Richard, come on, you've got to say something. You're the director that put it all together.
What a great time! What a great cast! What it's always terrific working with Jeff, and these gentlemen are class, and they direct is really not a very good way of describing my input here. My input was just to say, here, do this, do that, go here, do this, on a very, very simplistic level. They just took the ball and ran with it, and you saw what it was. I'm dealing with three very, very sensitive people, and three people who understand theater, understand levels, understand how to create characters that ping off of one another, and how to be very interesting people. And Dan, I've known Dan for decades. Scott, this is what, the third or fourth time I think I've worked with Scott. Fred I worked with once before, but Fred, I met you when you were doing that Macbeth in I shouldn't have said that, but Scottish play in Williamsburg. Do you remember that?
Without words.
The one
Without
without
words.
words.
That
yeah,
was,
yeah.
it was, I will never forget that. And so, I could not have asked for a dream team. So
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And again, I'm just so grateful to all of you because I mean, you're not only great friends, but you are great artists. And for what we are trying to do with TBTV, you elevate the work. You make this work better and richer. And I'm just so honored to know you and have you working with us. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for making the
yeah.
opportunities, Nick.
Oh my goodness, anytime. And I want to thank all of you who tuned into our Facebook show at 8:30. Thank you for being a part of this work. I want to remind you that this is the opening night. This is the first night of a 15-night extravaganza. So if you tune in every night, 7:30 on YouTube, 8:30 right here, you will see a live performance of a brand new play never done before. And we're happy to be able to share that with you. So please tell your family, tell your friends, make sure we get everybody tuning. You get have an intensive party, I think that would be a great time. Every night, grab a drink, sit for a half hour, 45 minutes, and watch a new show. If you really want to know more about us, go to our website, tbtv.org. You can see all of our past work. You can learn more about who we are, what we do. If you really, really like us, on the homepage, there's a little button on the top right corner. It says donate. Click on the donate button, and you can really be friends and supporters of who we are and what we do. So tomorrow evening, we started tonight with this really wonderful all-male cast. Tomorrow we have an all-female cast with a brand new play by amazing writer, amazing director, Shellen Lubin. Shellen wrote this really beautiful play called Preamble. It was directed to perfection by Graydon Gund, and it stars two of my favorite actors, Anne-Marie Morelli and Dipti Mehta. I hope you will tune in, 7:30 YouTube, 8:30 here. And that's it. I just want to thank you all for being a part of our work. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Have a great night and a great opening to the weekend, folks. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.